Welcome to Preptopia. In this overview of the MyFBA Prep platform, you will learn how to view reports, manage your account, submit and manage orders, as well as view invoices. Let's dive right in. I'm going to sign in now with a demo account, and I'm immediately taken to the reporting screen. On the reporting screen, there are two tabs. The first one's an overview, the second one's a detail report. In this overview, I'm viewing a high-level review of my business. The default date range is 30 days. I'm able to filter by the appropriate warehouse that I'd like to see. I'm able to see items that fall within a particular stage along the process, and I'm able to search for a particular PO. If I use any of these filters and click apply, the cards and visualizations on this screen will change. Everything on this page is exportable. You'll also notice a little arrow at the top left of most screens, which allows me to collapse the left navigation, give myself a little bit more real estate. This website is also responsive, so it works just as well on my phone as it does on desktop. If I click on the detailed report, I'll see a list of each item within each PO across the different warehouses that I use. Again, the criteria here is filterable. So if I want to look for a particular vendor by search or an order ID, I can do that in this first box. I can filter by date. I can filter by warehouse, stage, etc. Again, the data on here is exportable. And this gives me a very quick view of where certain items as part of certain POs or across POs are in the process. Now we're going to look at some account-related modules, the first being the knowledge base, which is a simple FAQ broken up by category, and within each category there are a list of questions that are commonly asked with answers. So you can expand them, and there will be text and occasionally video-based answers to the most common questions that we get. Next up is contacting support. So this is the first communication module within the system, which allows customers to ask questions about high-level stuff, typically to the MyFBA Prep team, as opposed to an individual warehouse. You might have a question about billing. You might have a question about upgrading a subscription, or just in a general inquiry for our team. If you submit the subject, the type, and the description, and then open the ticket, it will submit it to our team, and it will be a running log of that particular case, just like any sort of ticketing system. Very simple to use and very easy to get in touch with our team from this particular module. Next up is account and settings. Within account and settings, you'll see some basic stuff like account name and business name. You have an avatar both for the individual user as well as the business. The Seller Central account name is here. You're allowed to select one as primary and enter additional Seller Central accounts in case that's applicable. Password can be changed from this screen as well. On the second tab, you can update billing information, address, basic business billing information. Adding additional payment options is very easy. Within warehouse information, this will give you details on your subscription plan and the warehouses that you have access to as part of that subscription. You can see here the list of all of the warehouses in the network. Again, this is a demo account and the two that I have access to. If I'd like to get access to more warehouses or upgrade my subscription, there's a link to do that here. And then finally, if I click Application Setup, it's going to ask me for my password, and then it's going to allow me to connect to Seller Central. And this allows us via Preptopia to communicate with Seller Central via the Amazon API to create shipments and modify shipments directly within Seller Central without having to actually enter that platform. This is very simple to do. You simply verify your account. It will open a new window to log into Seller Central. Within Seller Central, it will prompt you to give access to our system, and you can simply give access. Very easy to do. Next up is Invoices and Payment. Within Invoices and Payment, you'll be able to see a detailed list of charges for a given billing period. You can review invoices, you can approve them, you can enable them to be auto-paid, all of that is sort of managed here. You'll also see a tab for upgrading a subscription. So you'll see that the options to upgrade subscription directly within the platform are also available. The last and most important piece of the system is creating new orders. I'm going to show the simplest way to do that. So I'm going to click on create a new order, and I'm going to tell the system the number of units that I have in this particular order. I'm going to tell it whether I have food or snacks, and these are capabilities that can be enabled or disabled on our side. So because this is a demo account, it's asking for these particular capabilities, food or snacks or cold storage, which is something we get asked for a lot. And if you were to select cold storage, I would only be given the warehouses that have that particular capability. For both of these, I'm going to say no, click continue. I'm going to select the warehouse that I'd like to submit this shipment to. Again, just a demo. I'm going to click continue. I'm going to enter today's date, the supplier name. The PO that I'm going to enter has several different suppliers, so I'm going to enter mixed. I'm going to enter my PO number. This is your PO number as the customer. So PO specific to your internal systems or however you like to track POs. Then I'm going to download this template, and this template's what gets filled out in order to upload to the system to create the order. There's a reference video on how to use the template, and then there's also a legend for each field, but I'm going to open that shortly and show you how to use it. So here on the screen, we have the order upload template, which is very, very simple. It has some fields that will look familiar to anyone that has used a fulfillment service before, but the order date is the first column, and everywhere within this document, there's a legend at the top for the header, so you can get an idea of what each field is indicated to do. There's a ETA to the warehouse, the vendor name, tracking information if we have that, the title of the item or the name of the item. If we have a UPC, we're going to enter that here. Target ASIN, again, just sort of dummy data. Total quantity ordered, in this case you can see it adds up to 850, and then some notes. So I'm indicating to the warehouse in this particular item to shrink wrap these together as a 2-pack, and then I'd also like the warehouse to prioritize this SKU as part of the order. I can also enter a bundle ID. This is indicated for when there are multi-SKU bundles. So if I'm combining this particular item on row 2 with this particular item on row 3 together, I would call that bundle ID 1 and 1, and that indicates to the warehouse that those two things go together. There's also a space for additional comments, and then the unit of measure, the bundle quantity, which is critical in terms of determining the bundle quantity that the warehouse is supposed to be creating. So in this particular case, these are 2-packs, these are singles, and these are singles, and that's how we're indicating that here. So now I'm going to simply find the demo template. I'm going to upload the template here, either by dragging and dropping or finding it within my browser or within my Finder on my computer. I'm going to continue, and then I'm going to submit the shipment. And as I submit the shipment, I'll be able to refresh to see if those items have been added. And you'll see that immediately I've been taken into the order details screen, which is allowing me to view this particular order, which is order number 158. That's the internal Preptopia order ID. And then I'm also able to see my PO number that I gave it, which is the customer's internal PO ID. Similar to other screens, I'm able to hide several modules to give me more room, because the table for an order tends to be particularly big in some cases. So I can hide the left navigation, and I can also hide this card that has some high-level details about the screen, about the order. Now I'm viewing the individual items, and you can see very easily that this all matches up to what was in the order submission template. And you can see that the data is all here. The unit of measure matches our sheet to 2-packs for this first row and singles for the other two. I can see what the items are. I can see the dates accordingly. I can also hide certain columns, so perhaps I don't need to see the title or the tracking number or I don't care about the vendor. And this basically allows me to see only the key information in a much shorter view or a much smaller view about these items. Columns can be dragged to be resized, and you can also sort according to each column that has an actual value. If I've forgotten an item, I can click New Product, and I can add the item that I forgot quickly to this particular order. I'm also able to delete an item, provided it has not been received by the warehouse. So this item here, I can click Delete and then click Yes, and that item will disappear from that order. So perhaps a supplier has a particular SKU that they're unable to fulfill, and it's never going to arrive at the warehouse. I can delete that item as long as it has not been received. The other thing I can do on this page is chat with the warehouse. So I can send the warehouse a note about the order itself by typing it in here. So I'm going to say, please let me know when this order arrives. And I've sent a note now to this warehouse that I've submitted the order to about order number 158. The other thing I can do is click on any row and get a list of details about that particular product. So you'll see that the notes included in the upload file are here, as well as the ability to attach files of my own and chat directly with the warehouse. So I might say this item needs to be bubble wrapped once completed, just as an example. And that's going to add that note to that particular item. And you'll notice in your left navigation that there's a little notification icon. If I click on that, I'll see that there's a running list of alerts. The warehouse has something similar on their side, so they'll receive notifications as customers are communicating with them. So you'll notice there's a order level chat, which we've used, and there's also an item level chat, which we've just sent something on this particular item. So the last thing we will review is under My Orders. If I click on My Orders, I'm going to see all of the orders that I've submitted over time. Some of them are active, some of them are completed. I can see that the Preptopia ID is here in the second column, and I can see that the PO number, my internal PO number, is here in the last column. The three actions that I can take on any given order are to delete the order, and I can only do that if the warehouse has not received any items yet. So if it's an order that I submit and then later realize cannot be fulfilled at all, I can delete that, provided nothing's actually arrived and been checked in at a warehouse. I can chat with the warehouse. So this brings up the chat without actually having to go into the order, and I can communicate with the warehouse about the order. And then I can click View Details and drill down into that screen that we saw a minute ago. And once the warehouse has received the items, I'll notice that the status changes from inbound to received or partially received if they haven't received the full quantities, and that the quantity received data will update from 0 to the amount that they've actually received. We are also adding a quantity on hand column, which will update as a function of what's been received versus what's been sent to Amazon, assuming that the entire amount hasn't been sent to Amazon directly. The My Orders page is also filterable, so I can look for particular POs. I can look for particular status. Maybe I only want to see what's active. I can apply that, only show my active orders, not what's been completed. I only want to see an order at one particular warehouse. I can see only that order. Very easy to get that data. And as opposed to clicking in and out of each order to see the data and going back and clicking into different ones, the key to the detail report within reporting, the reporting module, is to allow me to see that same data without having to go into multiple POs in and out, in and out. I can simply filter by what I want to see, and I have access to that data immediately. So hopefully this has been a helpful overview of the Preptopia platform. We are very quickly integrating with customer platforms such as ERPs like a NetSuite, which will allow customers to dynamically push orders into the system instead of actually having to create them via the upload template. And for enterprise level customers, we provide the ability to simply send us the format of the template or your orders, and we will dynamically enter them into your account on the back end. So our admin panel allows us to do that very quickly across multiple orders. So those are some available functionality today and some things that we're working on in the future.